Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just kidding, this is my first YouTube video. My name's Namuna and this is me at a local store called Oriental Market. This is where I come to get any Asian foods or ingredients when I need it. So I thought it'd be a good place to go because today I'll be making pad thai. I found a recipe that seemed pretty easy to make, so I made an ingredients list and headed out. Right off the bat, I found a couple of items on my list, although I couldn't find the rest. So in a little bit, we're just going to speed through my shopping experience. But the two things that I picked up were fish sauce and rice vinegar. Pad thai is my absolute favorite noodle dish, but I've never had to make it before myself. So I looked up a recipe that seemed to be within my cooking abilities. Also, I didn't find any other ingredients at the store, so I grabbed my favorite candy and my favorite noodles. To get the rest of the ingredients for the pad thai, I went to Walmart because I know that they have an international food section. And here is some of my shopping experience. From the produce section, I picked up some limes, green onion, a bell pepper, and garlic. From the international food section, I picked up a box of flat rice noodles, low-sodium soy sauce, and sriracha. I also grabbed some olive oil, which I completely forgot about, so this is me running down the aisle. And then I went and grabbed some eggs and chicken breast. I made sure to check my eggs to make sure none of them were broken. Alright, here are the rice noodles, sriracha, low-sodium soy sauce, vegetable oil, rice vinegar, and fish sauce. I forgot to put the chicken in, so it's up there in the top right corner, and now we have the garlic, the lime, the eggs, and in a little bit you'll see the red bell pepper and green onions. First up is to mince 3 cloves of garlic. And something that I didn't mention before was that this recipe calls for the use of peanuts and peanut paste, but I'm not a fan of peanuts or just nuts in general, so I decided to skip those steps. Next, we needed 3 stalks of green onions, so I went ahead and chopped those up all together. We didn't need the ends, so we're just going to get rid of that. Next up is a bell pepper, and you only need 1, so this is how I usually cut my bell peppers. I bought 2 limes, but honestly you only need like a 1/4 of a lime for the entire thing. Here's me chopping up an entire lime. I promise all of it didn't go to waste. The recipe called for 8 ounces of chicken breast cut up into small pieces, so this was my best guess at what 8 ounces of chicken breast look like because I did not have a scale. Yeah. After cutting the chicken breast into small pieces, the next thing I did was make the pad thai sauce from scratch. Everything was in tablespoons, but I didn't have any measuring cups, so I just kind of used a spoon. So first up was 5 spoonfuls of brown sugar. I used light brown sugar. Next I added 1 tablespoon of low-sodium soy sauce. Next I needed 3 tablespoons of the fish sauce. I'm going to be completely honest, this fish sauce had a very strong smell to it, and I was worried that I put too much in and that I may have ruined my sauce, but I kept going anyway. Next up was 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Lastly, we needed a tablespoon of sriracha, and I got really excited with this one because I love spicy food. And now we're just going to mix it all together. Next, I cracked 2 eggs into a bowl and then mixed it with a fork. I would have loved to mix it with a whisk, but I didn't have one, so I used a fork. The hardest part of this recipe, boiling a pot of water at medium heat. Once it came to a boil, I got my rice noodles and I dumped all of it into the pot. And I let it boil for approximately 6 minutes. I did a few checks to make sure that it was well done before I actually dumped the water out. Once the noodles were done boiling, the instructions said that I had to rinse them under some cold water, so I got a strainer. I dumped all the noodles in and thoroughly washed the noodles. My preference is to use a wok when I'm making stir fry, but I didn't have my wok today. I left that at home, so I had to use this pan instead. I added 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and I let it simmer for a little bit. Once it was warm enough, I added my minced garlic. Then I added the chicken breast. Next up were the bell peppers. Then I gave them all a good mix, making sure that everything was completely distributed. I kept the temperature between a medium and high heat, and I made sure to continuously stir the food so that it wasn't burning. It took a little while to cook, and I wasn't sure when the chicken was done, but after a while, I just kind of put the lid on it, left it alone, and once I opened it back up, it seemed like it was ready to go. Once I made sure that the chicken breast was well done, I pushed everything to the side so I can make a little bit of space for the next ingredient, which were the eggs. So once the eggs were poured in, I just gave it a little stir and then mixed all of everything together. Once the eggs were incorporated, I got the rice noodles and put them on top. After the noodles, we're going to pour the pad thai sauce right on top. And then after this, we're going to give everything a good mix. Mixing everything together felt like it took forever, so I reflected on everything that I did to make this pad thai. I was genuinely worried that it wouldn't taste good, but I kept going. So we'll see how this turns out in the end. Alrighty, the very last thing that we're going to do is add the green onion. I looked like I had a lot of green onion, so I didn't add all of it. I was just worried that it might be too much, so I just added a little bit. Once the green onions were in, the pad thai is done. So I set out 2 bowls for my friend and I. The pan was very heavy and I struggled so much to get the pad thai in, but we got it done. And look at it! The pad thai looks so good! Oh, and we absolutely cannot forget a little garnishing. Squeeze a little bit of lime juice on top, and we're good to go. I was genuinely worried that I had ruined the pad thai because of the amount of fish sauce that I put into it, but I realized that I actually used a good amount of fish sauce, and the smell went away as I was cooking it because everything just blended together so well. After me, it was my friend's turn to try out my pad thai. And I want to give a huge shout out to Karin, who helped me throughout this entire process and was my recorder for literally everything, and we worked on this for hours. Thank you very much.